from America's finest city. This is Real Talk San Diego on ESPN 1700.
What's happening, gang? You are live, and this is The Secret Stash. We're tracking down some of the coolest local people here in San Diego, talking about some of the coolest local things, and promise not to leave you empty-handed without a good story or two to tell, with the intention of leaving you better than how you found you. I'm your host, Jesse Ibanez, co-founder of the Greenhouse Group. And over there in the heart of San Diego, we are helping people on the move. And if you're looking to get into or out of a home right now, I know we're kind of waning in the end of the summer heat months right now, which is always hot for real estate. But you're going to want to definitely get a plan, because we're moving people with purpose down there. And in the studio live today, something that's kind of akin to that conversation, perhaps maybe from a little bit different of an angle, but an important one nonetheless. We have this, I think it's called one of the big threes, isn't it, Charlotte? There's,
big threes,
there's,
for sure.
There's death, there's divorce. And what's the third?
Discouragement?
No, what was the third?
Marriage or birth, one of the two.
Death, divorce. I forgot the third.
Yeah,
all of a sudden.
birth.
Oh, that's going to bug me now. That's going to bug me. That's like a tenet in this. So death, divorce, whatever. We'll call it discouragement. I like where you're going on that. Thank you for the pickup. And reason being is because with the alarming rates of divorce, and usually that meaning that there's some structure kind of built around. Charlotte, we're dealing with this a lot in our private practice.
Daily.
Helping folks on the move. And, we thought, it's one thing to sort of consider this downstream a little bit, and pick up the pieces kind of after it's already broken. But what if you could kind of swim upstream a little bit? What if you could kind of get ahead of it and figure out, not to try to pretend like you're going to be the panacea of this, but what if there's just a little inflection point or impetus to be able to sort of meet them where they're at and help affect a positive change? And Charlotte Volsch, that's exactly what you did, my dear friend Charlotte, helping folks actually out of the San Bernardino County area, right?
That's right.
Up in Apple Valley?
That's right.
Right. Where is Apple Valley for folks that don't know that?
It's in the high desert. It's on your way to Las Vegas.
There you go. There you go. So if you don't quite make it there, or, on your way.
Stop in.
Stop in, maybe buy a house from Charlotte.
There
Maybe
you
a
go.
good idea. But in Charlotte's practice, too, she's been dealing with this a lot. And you know what she did about it? She went and wrote a book. And it's a wonderful account, not only of her own personal experience of being married now for 32 years.
32 plus.
32 plus.
Yeah.
Oh, because we're halfway into almost 33, right? And it's called You Can Be Right or You Can Be Happily Married. And so, Charlotte, thank you so much for coming in the studio today on The Stash, hopefully leaving us better than how we found us. Why don't you, for your fans, of course, who know you, but for everybody else, introduce yourself to your new listeners.
Well, thanks, Jesse. I am Charlotte Volsch. I'm from Apple Valley, California, and I recently published this book, You Can Be Right or You Can Be Happily Married, Maintaining Harmony in Your Christ-Centered Home. And I'm delighted to be here with my dear friend Jesse and be able to share some tidbits today that hopefully will leave you with some pointers to use in your marriage to make it stronger, if that's where you want to go.
Yeah, and what I love about the message in this book is that it's universal in the sense that I found that it can meet you almost anywhere. Dare we even say before even being married, because they're
right.
A lot of they're really core components about being in a relationship, are they not?
Exactly. It's all about that relationship and how to make that stronger. And I've discovered women are looking for some how-tos there, especially if they're successful in business and then they don't know how to shift gears to be successful.
Say more about that. That's a really big chapter. So pontificate on that a little bit, shall we?
Well, as women in business, we have to put a different coat of armor on to be successful in that arena. And then to be successful in our homes, it requires a complete gear shift to coming into being now a wife and supporting our husbands as opposed to being eye to eye or the leader in our home. That's not our role. And that is a total gear shift. Without knowing how to shift into that gear, that's how we can implode ourselves, I've discovered. And so I've found many successful businesswomen looking for, how do I do that? How do I deepen my relationship with my husband?
Yeah.
And that's what they really want. So it just kind of cried out to me that there needs to be some how-tos.
It can erode away at the role.
Totally erode away at the role, the relationship, and everything that was exciting about it in the very beginning just starts to deplete.
Well, and this is a fantastic piece, as I shared earlier. And by the way, you can catch this conversation taking place on a more current level at yourmarriageharmony.com. That's kind of where this whole conversation lives, right?
That's right.
And I understand you got a live event you got coming up, probably up in Apple Valley, I would imagine.
I have one coming up here in San Diego in January.
Oh, it's in San Diego.
Yes.
Oh, wow. Look at me off on my fact check there. Where in San Diego?
Well, the actual place, we're finalizing that this week.
Oh, okay, cool.
And the date as well, but it is going to be January.
Very good. Okay, good. And you can follow, of course, yourmarriageharmony.com. Let's get into this, shall we? There's so much good stuff, but if you'll allow me to kind of maybe throw you back on the hot seat on your own material here, I extracted a couple points that I thought were absolutely essential to this conversation.
Okay.
And the first one, do you remember talking about daily investing?
Daily investing. Oh,
Yeah.
it's so the fibers of the whole process to me. That daily investing is woven into my morning ritual as well as my end of the day. It's kind of bookends on my day, if you will.
Okay.
So where I can come front and center and say, what is it that I need to do today to be that best person as a wife, as a mother, and as a business person? And so I have to remind myself about that every day, or it's really easy to get caught up in the whatever I'm doing right now.
And this is, I think, the key part of what your book, or what I love so much, is you've got, like, at the end of each chapter, you got like actionable plans and little like check-ins and stuff with yourself. But this is one of those classic examples of it's supposed to be when you know better, you do better. But in my experience in life, a lot of times knowing is not enough.
No.
There has to be a structure and an environment that supports that knowing, or it doesn't get put into habit. Would you agree with that?
Totally agree with that.
And that's sort of the theme that I got. It's kind of these what I just heard you say out loud in about a couple sentences is the definition of trite. Everybody knows that. Everybody knows that you don't take it for granted. You stop and smell the flowers. You tell each other that they're beautiful and that they look good. And stuff. But then you get into the rigors of daily life, and those are often the first things that get set aside. Do they not?
That is so true.
Yeah.
So true.
Tell a bit more about your experience in that, your inspiration.
On how I keep that alive each day?
Absolutely, yeah.
Yes. Well, first of all, like I said, I start with my morning ritual. I have a quiet time there where I journal, I read. It's kind of my spiritual foundation time for the day, too, and just ask the Lord how to lead me to be that better wife and to look for where He wants me to shine throughout that day. And so I have to go there first, and then I can be a better me when I come to the day.
And that's what works for you. And I think what comes up, I think more universally, is just connecting to source. You know,
Yes.
whatever that source is. It doesn't even have to be like a faith-based type thing. It's your ability to get quiet and get centered. And I love the analogy. I don't know if I picked it up from your book or not, or if it was from another piece, but it's like the filament of the light bulb, and you have to kind of get that glowing hot before you can give yourself away in service to everybody else who's requiring you the rest of the day, right?
So true. It's
Yeah.
kind of like putting on your own oxygen mask first when you're on the airplane before you can help anybody else.
I love that analogy. Right. So anything else on the whole daily investing thread?
Well, the other thing that I do at the end of the day is I have a gratitude journal, a Thanksgiving journal. So every day, and I have it programmed into my planner that a beep goes off at 8 o'clock, and I journal what 3 things did my husband do, or how did he come across, or something about him that I'm grateful for. And if I end my day on that note, then everything else that annoyed, irritated, or wanted me to want to poke his eyes out kind of dissipates. And I go, you know what? I am a fortunate person.
Yeah. This is the same theme that we were talking about earlier. We're, of course, discussing this with Charlotte Volsch. She's the author of You Can Be Right or You Can Be Happily Married, which I love that title, by the way. And the universality, if you might allow me that, of the theme. We're talking about morning ritual. We're talking about ending with daily gratitude. Can you not see it's obvious that these are sort of like the habits of successful life and navigating through all of this stuff that just weighs us down like kettlebells on our shoulders every single day. And of course, chief on that list is the thing that you're probably going to take most for granted, which is the person lying next to you.
Right.
And so luckily, because you're tuning into the Stash, and we'll track down, obviously, some cool local people talking about, and you're local too, because you got San Diego roots.
I do have
know
San
that
Diego
about
roots.
you. Talking about this very important topic of evading the divorce anvil on your big toe.
Amen.
Perhaps that our cloak will put on this. And so coming up, we're going to get a little bit deeper into this because the accomplishment is not something that you can do alone. You got to get buy-in. How in the world do you do that? Well, luckily, Charlotte's going to tell us right after the break. We'll be right back.